Hi everybody, I look forward to seeing you on the course in a few days time, the Python course. Here's a very short video to get you started and set up running Python on the Classroom virtual machines. It's a very hands-on course. The process starts with this email here that you should have received from me. If you haven't, let me know. If you have, there's a big button here called Register for the Lab. Let's click on that. And that will bring you to this web page here. Now you may need to sign in. I've signed in already. If you are going to sign in with the same account as on the email. What you will have here is have this little tile here with Python course, and it's probable that your thing here will say stopped rather than running. If it does say stop, click on the slider to start it. It's going to take about 10 minutes or so to start up before it becomes running. Time to get yourself a coffee. Next thing to do is this. Once it's starting, there is this little screen icon here bottom right, and what I would like you to do then is to click on that screen. But just one thing, if you're using an Apple Mac to do this, then if you haven't already got this application Microsoft Remote Desktop on the Mac, then you need to download that beforehand. If you have, then clicking on that link will show something in your downloads. It's an RDP file. I'm going to connect to that file. What happens here is that it brings up the credentials. In the email I've sent you the credentials. I'll just put them in. This will start up a remote desktop connection and a VM will appear. It's appearing on my other screen, so let me just move it across so we can see. It's going to take a couple of minutes to warm itself up. I'll pause the recording for now, and then we'll go on and we'll fire up Python. Here's the VM, and everything that we need is on the taskbar. We've got two things here. First of all, we've got the File Explorer. I'll start that up, and in our Documents folder we've got a folder called Python course, and this contains our files. There'll actually be more files when we come to the beginning of the course. It's just a template file at the moment. The other thing that we've got down here on the taskbar is Visual Studio Code, VSCode, and I'm going to start that off. That is going to be our Python editor. When it kicks off, we get a screen that looks like this. I've actually opened it and it's already got Python running, and we've clicked on the file, so it's just going to bring up something called Interactive Python, Jupyter Python, and we'll see that come up in a minute. So what we have here is our Python course. We've got lots of text describing what we're doing, lots of commentary, but in here where these triangles are, we've got some executable Python code. And I'm going to run the first piece of Python code in this here, which is just to say hello Python. Let's run it by clicking on this triangle, run cell. The first time that this happens, we're going to see this starting Jupyter server. That's going to take a minute to start up, but once it does, we will run our first piece of code. I'll wait for that. And now that we can see we've executed our first piece of Python code, it's printed out hello Python. Now let's do a little more work. I'm going to run this piece of code here. This is going to import a couple of Python modules that we'll be using. Pandas for data science, matplotlib for plotting. It's going to go and read a file, a CSV file from the web that contains all the numbers of bike hires for the London Public Bike Hire Service in the last decade. And it's just going to show us the data for the first days and the last days. Finally, I will look at some information about this data set, and that tells us the two columns and it tells us the data types. And finally, I'm just going to plot it and get a small plot showing the numbers of bikes hired over the 10 years. If you got there, then Python works absolutely fantastic. I look forward to seeing you on the course. Thank you.